Hey there, quantum visionaries! Welcome back to the history and the future of everything quantum. We're diving into part 10 today, where the mysteries get deeper, the ideas get wilder, and the future gets even more fascinating.
Did you know that this term has its roots in ancient cosmology, religion, and early astronomy? Let's break it down for you. The word firmament comes from the Latin firmamentum, meaning support or strengthener. In early cosmological models, particularly those from Babylonia and Egypt, the sky was seen as a solid dome separating the heavens from the earth. It was often thought to be made of crystal or other materials, and it was believed that the stars were holes in this dome, allowing light to shine through. As we progressed through history, the concept of firmaments evolved and became more complex. In the 17th century, the idea of a single firmament was replaced by the concept of a universe with multiple layers, each with its own firmament. That's a quick overview of the fascinating history of firmaments. Quantum immortality. This thought experiment, which emerges from interpretations of quantum mechanics, especially the many worlds interpretation (MWI), is not a scientific theory in the traditional sense, but rather a philosophical speculation. Let's take a journey through the history and development of this intriguing concept. In the 1920s and 1930s, quantum mechanics was founded by renowned scientists like Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, and Erwin Schrödinger. One of the most famous thought experiments in quantum mechanics is Schrödinger's cat, which illustrates the concept of superposition and the paradox of quantum mechanics. So, how does quantum immortality fit into this? Well, this thought experiment suggests that if a person is in a life-threatening situation, their consciousness splits into multiple parallel universes. In one universe, they survive, and in the other, they die. This concept is a fascinating exploration of the intersection between quantum mechanics and philosophy. Did you know that the history of psychoanalytic theory is deeply tied to the work of Sigmund Freud? He is widely regarded as the father of psychoanalysis and is responsible for laying the foundations of this field. Freud began developing psychoanalysis in Vienna in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, initially influenced by neurology and his work with hysterical patients, alongside Joseph Breuer. Their collaborative work, known as the Studies on Hysteria, is a testament to Freud's early contributions to psychoanalysis. This groundbreaking book marked the beginning of a new era in the understanding of the human mind, particularly the unconscious. The history of hypercreativity isn't tied to a single, formalized academic theory like psychoanalysis or quantum mechanics, but rather emerges across psychology, neuroscience, art, and innovation studies as a way to describe unusually high levels of creative output, idea generation, and pattern recognition, often connected to altered states of consciousness, neurodivergence, or intense emotional states. Here's a breakdown of how the concept of hypercreativity has evolved and been understood. 1. The term hypercreativity was first coined in the 1960s by psychologist Frank Barron, who studied the creative output of artists, scientists, and other creative individuals. 2. In the 1980s, the concept was further explored by psychologist Dean Simonton, who studied the lives of famous creatives and identified patterns of hypercreativity. 3. In the 2000s, neuroscientists began to study the brain activity of hypercreative individuals, revealing connections to altered states of consciousness and neurodivergence. 4. More recently, the concept has been applied to innovation studies, examining how hypercreativity can drive technological advancements and social change. Did you know that the human genome is like a blueprint for our bodies, containing all the instructions needed to build and maintain us? It's truly remarkable. So, let's take a journey through time and discover the key milestones in the development of our understanding of the human genome. 1. Pre-genomic era before 1900s. In 1859, Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species introduced the idea that species, including humans, evolve through natural selection. This was a game-changer in our understanding of biology. 2. The rise of genetics 1900s-1940s. In the early 1900s, Gregor Mendel's work on inheritance was rediscovered, leading to the birth of modern genetics. In the 1940s, the structure of DNA was revealed and the genetic code was cracked. 3. The Human Genome Project 1990 to 2003. In 1990, the Human Genome Project was launched with the goal of mapping the entire human genome. This monumental effort was completed in 2003. You know that early cultures often attributed unpredictable natural events to the whims of gods. Floods, storms, eclipses, and even disease were seen as random acts of the divine. This belief system was a way for ancient cultures to impose order on the chaos of nature. As time went on, humans began to understand the natural world more deeply. Myths gave way to science, and unpredictability became a humbling force that challenged the limits of human knowledge, control, and prediction. So, the next time you're caught in a rainstorm or witness a stunning meteor shower, remember the rich history of human-nature interaction and how we've evolved to understand and embrace the unpredictable. Did you know that humans have been trying to understand, forecast, and control natural phenomena since ancient times? Let's take a journey through the evolution of predictability, starting with myth and mysticism and ending with modern science. First up, we have the ancient and pre-scientific views dating back to before 500 BCE. In those days, people believed that nature was unpredictable, governed by the will of gods or spirits. Thunderstorms, droughts, or eclipses were seen as divine messages or punishments. Second, observation begins. During this period, people started to observe patterns in nature, such as the movement of celestial bodies or the migration of animals. This led to the development of astrology and other early forms of predictive science. The ancient world also marked the beginning of observation. People started to notice patterns in the sky, like the movement of the sun, moon, and stars. This laid the foundation for our modern understanding of astronomy. Let's look at the indigenous traditions, where the idea of hyperconsciousness has deep roots. In many indigenous cultures, there's a strong belief in the interconnectedness of all things, and the idea of heightened self-awareness is often woven into their spiritual practices. For example, in Native American traditions, the concept of hyperconsciousness is often associated with the idea of the Great Spirit, which is believed to be the unifying force that connects all living things. In this context, hyperconsciousness is seen as a way to tap into this unifying force and gain a deeper understanding of the world around us.
This groundbreaking technology has come a long way since its discovery in 2012. Remember the landmark paper by Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier? They introduced us to CRISPR-Cas9, a bacterial immune system component that could be programmed to cut DNA at precise locations. This discovery revolutionized the possibilities of genome editing, thanks to its specificity and ease of use. Now, let's move on to the ethical considerations that come with this powerful technology. As we enter the post-genomic era, we need to ensure that we're using gene editing responsibly and ethically. This includes addressing concerns about potential misuse, safety, and unintended consequences. Finally, let's talk about the integration of AI into genomics. This exciting development has the potential to significantly enhance our understanding of genomics and the human genome. AI can help us analyze and interpret vast amounts of genomic data, enabling us to make more informed decisions and advance our knowledge in this field.
This groundbreaking initiative represents a monumental leap in human genomics, aiming to complete the first truly complete human genome sequence from one telomere to the other with no gaps. So, what exactly is the T2T Consortium? It's a collaborative scientific effort formed in 2019 with the goal of filling in the missing 8% of the human genome that had remained unresolved since the Human Genome Project (HGP) completed its draft in 2003. This unresolved portion, known as the missing 8%, was left out due to the limitations of the technology available at the time. The T2T Consortium is a game changer as it uses cutting-edge technologies to bridge the gap and provide a complete human genome sequence. This will not only help us better understand human genetics and evolution, but also have significant implications for medical research and health care. The post-genome era began in 2003, marking the completion of the Human Genome Project. This monumental achievement allowed scientists to map nearly all 3 billion letters of the human genetic code. But the story doesn't end there. The years between 2003 and 2010 were crucial in establishing the foundation of genomic medicine. This period saw the development of new technologies, such as next-generation sequencing, which made it possible to sequence entire genomes at a fraction of the cost. Since then, the post-genome era has expanded its reach with applications in biotechnology, data science, and beyond. We've seen the emergence of personalized medicine, where treatments are tailored to an individual's genetic makeup. Aquifers are underground layers of permeable rock, sediment, or soil that hold and transmit groundwater. While the concept of aquifers as we know them today is grounded in modern geology and hydrology, their history spans millions of years of natural formation and thousands of years of human use. Aquifers formed over millions of years through the accumulation and compaction of sedimentary rocks, sand, and gravel. This process, known as lithification, transformed these materials into permeable layers that could store and transmit water. Over time, humans have harnessed the power of aquifers for various purposes, from irrigation to drinking water. In fact, many ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians and the Indus Valley Civilization, relied heavily on aquifers for their survival. So, the next time you take a sip of water, remember the fascinating history and natural legacy of aquifers beneath your feet. Did you know that the history of blood types is a captivating tale that spans from ancient beliefs to modern-day science? From the mystical power of blood to the groundbreaking discovery of blood groups in the 20th century, understanding blood types has transformed how we treat disease, perform surgery, and understand human biology. So, let's take a journey back in time to explore the history of blood types. In ancient Egypt, Greece, and India, blood was believed to be the essence of life. It was thought to be the seat of the soul, and its mystical power was believed to be able to heal, protect, and even grant immortality. Fast forward to the 19th century, and we find the first scientific breakthroughs in understanding blood types. In 1804, the German physician Johann Christian Riehl discovered the first blood group, which he called the M group. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the ABO blood group system was discovered by Karl Landsteiner and Philipp Levine. The discovery of blood groups was a game changer in medicine, as it allowed for safer blood transfusions and revolutionized the way we treat disease and perform surgery. Today, understanding blood types is crucial in the field of medicine, and it's fascinating to think about how far we've come in our understanding of this vital substance. Did you know that carbon is one of the earliest elements formed after the Big Bang? While not directly created by the Big Bang itself, it was forged in the fiery furnaces of stars billions of years ago. This cosmic carbon, as we call it, was then scattered across the universe when those stars exploded. Fast forward to our planet, Earth, and you'll find that carbon is the foundation of life as we know it. It's the key element in our DNA, the building blocks of proteins, and the backbone of our cells. Carbon is truly the element that makes us us. But that's not all. Carbon is also at the heart of human technology and innovation. From steel to plastics, from computers to smartphones, carbon is woven into the fabric of our modern world. However, our reliance on carbon has also had a significant impact on our planet. The burning of fossil fuels has led to climate change, which is now a pressing global issue. These cycles refer to the idea that human events, such as the rise and fall of civilizations, revolutions, and periods of peace, occur in repeating patterns over time. Many historians, philosophers, and theorists have proposed models that describe these cycles, often with specific durations. Let's take a look at some of the most well-known history cycle theories and their typical time frames. First up, we have the Strauss-generational cycle, also known as the fourth turning. This cycle typically lasts around 80 to 100 years. Next, we have the Kondratiev wave, which is a long-term cycle that lasts around 50 to 60 years. Then, we have the Schumpeterian cycle, which is a shorter cycle that typically lasts around 10 to 15 years. Finally, we have the Kuznets cycle, which is a cycle that lasts around 20 to 25 years. It's fascinating to think about how these cycles have shaped human history and how they might continue to do so in the future. Did you know that desalination has its roots in ancient times? In fact, early civilizations were already exploring ways to make seawater drinkable. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, used distillation methods to separate seawater into fresh water. Aristotle and Pliny the Elder were among the first to describe these early distillation techniques. They boiled seawater and then condensed the vapor into fresh water. This ingenious method paved the way for future advancements in desalination technology. So, there you have it. The history of desalination is a testament to human ingenuity and our collective efforts to overcome water scarcity. Cyborg is a term that's short for cybernetic organism, a being with both organic and biomechatronic parts. The term suggests a blend of biology and technology where machines enhance, repair, or replace human functions. The concept of the cyborg can be traced back to the 1960s when the term was coined by Manfred Clynes and Nathan S. Klein. They envisioned a future where humans would be able to adapt to extreme environments by using mechanical implants. In the 1970s, the concept of the cyborg gained popularity in science fiction, with works like Cyborg 009 and Cyborg 008 exploring the idea of humans being transformed into machines. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the idea of the cyborg has become a reality. With advances in prosthetics, implants, and artificial intelligence, we're seeing more and more examples of humans and machines working together. Did you know that CRISPR gene editing has made significant strides in 2025, showcasing its transformative potential in medicine? In fact, a 9-month-old infant named KJ Muldoon has become the first person to successfully undergo a personalized CRISPR gene editing therapy. Born with severe carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1 CPS1 deficiency, a rare metabolic disorder with no existing treatments, KJ's life was at risk. However, thanks to the groundbreaking work of Dr. Don Ingber and his team at the Wyss Institute for Biologically Inspired Engineering at Harvard University, KJ received a life-saving CRISPR gene editing treatment. This incredible breakthrough marks a turning point in personalized medicine.
Early understanding of climate. Ancient 1700s ancient Greece and Rome. Philosophers like Hippocrates and Pliny the Elder observed how deforestation or city building affected local climates. No knowledge yet of global warming, but humans observed the effects of human activity on climate. Industrial Revolution 1700s, 1900s. Industrialization led to increased greenhouse gas emissions, which began to affect global temperatures. Scientists like John Tyndall and Svante Arrhenius began to study the greenhouse effect and its potential consequences. Modern climate crisis 1950s, present. The 1950s marked the start of widespread global warming, with temperatures rising at an unprecedented rate. The 1980s saw a surge in public awareness and concern about climate change, leading to the formation of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Let's explore how this concept has evolved through cultural and mythological history, as well as generational theory. First, let's look at the cultural and mythological history of the hero generation. Throughout human history, societies have created and celebrated heroes through storytelling, folklore, and myth. These heroes have been seen as larger-than-life figures, often possessing extraordinary abilities and embarking on epic quests. From ancient Greek mythology to modern-day superheroes, the concept of the hero has been a constant in human history. Now, let's shift our focus to the generational theory of the hero generation, specifically the Strauss-Howe theory. This theory identifies a specific group of people born during a certain period in American history as the hero generation. This generation is said to be characterized by their strong sense of purpose, courage, and leadership. The history of the hero generation can be understood in two main ways, through cultural and mythological history and through generational theory. Did you know that the concept of the artist has undergone a dramatic transformation over time? From the anonymous creators of sacred works to celebrated individuals, and now to machine-generated art, the artist's role has evolved in intriguing ways. Let's take a journey through the major stages in the history of artist generation, how artists have been made, seen, and defined across civilizations. First up, we have the ancient makers, spanning from prehistory to 500 BCE. During this time, artists were often seen as artisans or shamans, with their works serving various purposes, such as cave paintings. Next, we have the medieval makers, from 500 BC to 1500 CE. During this period, artists were seen as craftsmen, with their works often commissioned by patrons. Then, we have the Renaissance makers, from 1500 to 1750. In this era, artists were celebrated as individuals, with their works becoming more personal and expressive. Now, we're in the modern age with the machine makers, from 1750 to the present. This is the era of AI-generated art, where machines are creating works that are often indistinguishable from those created by humans. It's truly fascinating to see how the role of the artist has evolved over time. Did you know that the history of hot droughts is relatively recent in scientific understanding, but the phenomenon has rapidly become central to climate and water discussions in the 21st century. So, what exactly is a hot drought? Well, it's a drought that's made worse by unusually high temperatures. Unlike traditional droughts, which are caused by a lack of rainfall, hot droughts involve intense heat. This heat speeds up evaporation, reduces snowpack, and increases stress on plants, soil, and water systems. In simple terms, a hot drought is when a drought is made worse by extreme heat. It's a combination of two natural disasters, and it's becoming increasingly important to understand and address as we move into the 21st century. The nomad generation is a concept from the Strauss-Howe generational theory, which frames history as a repeating cycle of generational archetypes every 80 to 100 years. In this theory, a nomad generation is one of four recurring archetypes defined by its place in the generational cycle and its response to historical events. The nomad archetype is characterized by a few key factors. Firstly, they grow up during a time of personal freedom, social fragmentation, and institutional weakness. This often leads to a sense of disillusionment and a lack of trust in institutions. They are also known for their independent spirit, often rejecting traditional roles and norms. Nomads are often pioneers, seeking new frontiers and opportunities. They are adaptable and resourceful, often thriving in times of change and uncertainty. These bloodlines, whether real or mythologized, have been carefully crafted, preserved, and even manipulated over centuries to secure power, influence, and legacy across generations. So, what are strategic bloodlines? They refer to a family or lineage intentionally maintained, protected, or elevated for several reasons, such as 1. Rulership or divine right. These bloodlines often claim a special connection to the divine, giving them the right to rule. 2. Marriage alliances. Strategic bloodlines are often used to create powerful political and cultural alliances through marriage. 3. Preserving genetics. In some cases, strategic bloodlines are maintained to preserve specific genetic traits. Did you know that the concept of seasons is rooted in ancient astronomy, agriculture, mythology, and human adaptation to the rhythms of Earth? These divisions of the year are based on astronomical patterns, and they have been used by humans to organize time, rituals, planting cycles, and cultural identity. So, what causes the seasons? It's all about Earth's axial tilt, which is around 23.5 degrees, and its orbit around the Sun. As Earth tilts, it creates different angles of sunlight, which results in the varying temperatures and daylight hours we experience throughout the year. Generation, as per the Strauss-Howe generational theory, is a key archetype in the cycle of four generational types. This theory sees history as a repeating cycle, with each generation falling into one of these archetypes based on their relationship to historical crises and awakenings. So, what is a prophet generation? Well, it's typically born after a great crisis, which is followed by a time of collective rebuilding. During this era, the prophet generation grows up, absorbing the lessons of the crisis and the rebuilding process. They often become the visionaries and change-makers of their time, inspiring others with their insights and ideas. But that's not all. The prophet generation is also known for their optimism as they grow up during an era of rising optimism. This optimism fuels their creativity and drive, allowing them to see the world in a different light and to dream of a better future. Know that the history of these experiences stretches back across ancient cultures, religious traditions, and modern science. While the term out-of-body experience is relatively new, having been coined in the 20th century, the phenomenon itself is ancient, appearing in spiritual, shamanic, and mystical practices worldwide. So, what exactly is an out-of-body experience? It's the sensation or experience of consciously perceiving the world from a location outside one's physical body, often floating above, watching, or even interacting with one's own body. It's a fascinating phenomenon that has captivated people for centuries. Did you know that the history of turnings is most famously explored in the theory of generational cycles by William Strauss and Neil Howe in their 1997 book, The Fourth Turning, An American Prophecy? This theory proposes that history unfolds in recurring cycles of turnings, each lasting about 20 to 25 years, forming a larger cycle called a seculum of approximately 80 to 100 years, roughly the span of a long human life. Each turning represents a distinct social mood and generation. So, let's take a closer look at these turnings. 1. High. This is a period of growth and prosperity, where people are optimistic and confident. 2. Awakening. This is a time of social change and innovation, where people are inspired and motivated to make a difference. 3. Unraveling. This is a period of decline and decay, where people are skeptical and pessimistic. 4. Crisis. This is a time of turmoil and conflict, where people are fearful and uncertain. Interesting, right? We'll dive deeper into each turning in our next video. Wildfires, also known as bushfires, forest fires, or wildland fires, have been burning across our planet for hundreds of millions of years. They've shaped landscapes, ecosystems, and even human culture. While they are natural ecological events, human activity has greatly influenced their frequency, intensity, and impact. Before humans, about 420 million years ago, wildfires have existed since plants first came into being. These fires played a crucial role in the evolution of plants, which adapted to survive in fire-prone environments. Over time, plants developed strategies to cope with fire, such as producing resins and bark to protect themselves. As humans evolved, we began to use fire for various purposes, such as cooking, heating, and even as a tool for hunting. This increased the frequency and intensity of wildfires, leading to changes in the landscape and ecosystem.
Political and religious doctrine has deep historical roots, and it's used to justify absolute monarchy by asserting that a monarch's right to rule comes directly from God. So, let's take a closer look at its history and evolution. Did you know that the concept of divine kingship actually has its roots in ancient civilizations? In Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China, rulers claimed divine or semi-divine status long before the formal divine right doctrine emerged. In Egypt, for example, the pharaohs were considered gods on earth, while in China, emperors were believed to be the sons of heaven.
Imagine this, a time when Homo sapiens were just a few thousand scattered hunter-gatherers. Fast forward to today, and we've grown into a global civilization of 8 billion people and counting. This growth wasn't a steady climb, though. It was shaped by agriculture, plagues, empires, industry, and modern medicine. Now, let's take a look at some key milestones in world population growth. Prehistoric, 10,000 BC, population 1 to 10 million, small hunter-gatherer tribes. Agricultural Revolution, 8000 BC, population 5 to 10 million, early civilizations. Classical Era, 500 BC, population 100 to 200 million, rise of empires. Industrial Revolution, 1800, population 1 billion, globalization and urbanization. Modern Era, 2000, population 6 billion, population explosion and global challenges. That's it for today's history lesson. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to follow and subscribe for more interesting content. Stay curious and see you next time.
I've been walking, finna soft, about to speak, Tashalambish hashi, to the spirit of the sun. Doka deep, doka slow, to the deep river, to the slow river. Mobi yakoke, doka no, I've been walking, river no. Hashi shine, shilombish glow. The sun shines, the spirit glows. R&B song. I've been walking, river knows. Hashi shine, shilombish glow. The sun shines, the spirit glows. Island bee song. Shalombish glow. The sun shines, the spirit glows.